REOBroker.com TV and podcast. My name is Brandy Nelson, Executive Director of REOBroker.com, and today we are doing our REO Agent Spotlight. With us today, we have Mike Samborn. Mike Samborn is an REO agent broker and an executive director with REOBroker.com. Before I bring Mike on, let me share his impressive bio with you. As I mentioned, Mike is also an executive director of REOBroker.com, a professional REO organization that has been around for 30 years. He has been licensed to sell real estate since 1992 and was a broker in 1996 and has been the owner of Allstar Real Estate since 2004. He has received several sales awards with ERA and RE/MAX before starting Allstar Real Estate. Currently a Bay County Realtor Association member and was honored with the Merit Award, Realtor of the Year Award, and the President's Award. He is the past president and past director of the Bay County Realtor Association. He has been the #1 agent for closed transactions consistently for Bay County since 2005 and consistently ranked in the top 75 for closed transactions in the country by Realty Trends and Wall Street Journal's top 1,000 from 2013 to 2019. Welcome, Mike, to our very first REO Broker Spotlight.
Thank you, Brandy. And yes, it's our first show. And I'm honored to be here for REOBroker.com and be the Agent Spotlight.
So, Mike, speaking of your professional and career, what motivated you to become an agent in 1992?
That's a story in itself. I came out of the Marine Corps. I tried to buy a house, went through a half dozen agents, said I did sales my whole life, except for those 6 years in the Marine Corps. I can show all of them. And I got licensed in that year. And the funny part of the story is, I wrote up a house before I was an agent. I listed 5 houses, sold 2, and finally closed the house that I wrote up 6 months earlier. So I said, I can do this.
And then what motivated you to become a broker in 1996?
Talking to people and looking around, knowing that, look at a broker runs everything, companies come and go, and I am a high believer in education no matter what. So at 3 years, you can become a broker. So at year 2.5, I started taking my broker classes to make sure that I was ready by year 3 or year 4 to get my broker license. So if I ever had to go on my own, I could.
So obviously you did start your own real estate company. How did you find Allstar Real Estate?
I knew I wanted to go on my own. Was doing REO. At that time, RE/MAX or the other companies weren't really into REO. So I was catching a little flack back in 2004. Then people were just putting teams together, and they weren't quite comfortable on that because I had team members and assistants, and so it was time to break off and start my own company and do my own thing because REO was where I was heading.
How's that journey been since founding your firm, and what are some of the milestones that you're most proud of with Allstar Real Estate?
It's been fun. I enjoy the REO, enjoy having my own company because everything's different every day. Some of the milestones was, again, it was kind of up and down to where I grew the company and then I now have been downsizing the company, trying to, change and adapt. Something I learned in the service was be constantly changing and adapting. And I went from with 20 agents at one time, which is big for this area. There's only 150 in the board, to 3 or 4 or 5 agents now to a boutique company. So it's been a lot of milestones and a lot of changing and a lot of adapting. And now we're at a level of where I'm comfortable with running a smaller company.
Perfect. While doing that, you received many recognitions and awards. You've been ranked in the top 30 for closed transactions by Realty Trends, Wall Street Journal. What did you attribute the consistent success to?
Okay. Actually, it was in the top 75 for those 7 years. But the consistent success would have been just for the fact of out there working it, doing what I do best, and that is sales, making connections, and putting together a team that helped handle it. During the crash years, we were handling 300, 400, 500 properties. Even though I'm in a small market, I was able to handle a large area and was known as the go-to agent in the area by several of the companies.
So since you have done 300, 400, 500 transactions at a time, what are your specific strategies or practices that contribute to your high transaction volume?
Everybody doing their job. My job was the rainmaker, making sure I was doing what I had to do to keep finding the companies, convincing them we're the company in the area, and making sure my team was making us look good on the back end. That was putting together the team. During those years, I had several people managing 25, 30 asset companies. So that was it, was making it together, everybody knowing what their job was and keeping me free to go out there and find the business for us. Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about your leadership at REOBroker.com. As the executive director of REOBroker.com, what are your primary objectives and responsibilities?
Our primary objectives is to keep growing this organization. It's a great organization with lots of knowledge, lots of good agents, and we want to keep adding to it. I do a lot of the agent vetting, the background, seeing what they're able to do. I also run our chat line, which is information that our agents can pass on, ask questions on. If they have a question, we usually have somebody in our group that can handle it. So I manage the chat line and I manage the membership.
And how does REOBroker.com differentiate itself in the market? And what value does it bring to its clients?
Our agents are skilled in REO. We have agents that right now they average with our whole membership at least 12 years or more in the REO business. We bring a lot of value because we can do more than just REO. They need help with property management. They need help with finding things out. Need help getting things to the courthouse. Our agents are training. We do lots of training for it. We take a lot of the pressure or try to take the pressure off the asset managers. So our goal at REOBroker.com is to keep bringing in better and better agents who are able to help our asset managers out to make them able to move and dispose of their properties.
Can you share a particularly memorable experience or a success story from your connections with REOBroker.com?
Yeah, there's several of them that I've had throughout my 25 years of being with REOBroker.com. I guess one of them would be it's being able to meet and say I'm part of REOBroker.com, meet the asset managers. I was at one trade show once, I remember conference once, where I was walking down the hall and the asset manager actually came up and talked to me. He was heading to a session I was going to. He was going to be a speaker at the session. We talked in the hall. He actually recognized me. We changed gratuities and information, went inside there, went through the session, and everybody rushed the stage when it was over, and I was still sitting at a table, and somebody looked at me and said, "Aren't you going up there?" I said, "Why? I've already had a one-on-one conversation with them." And that was from being part of a group that was recognized.
Perfect. And I know REOBroker.com is expanding coverage in the U.S. Where are your most pressing needs?
Our most pressing needs would be the upper Midwest, the west part of the country. We have a great need for the middle Midwest area. So, and we are trying to expand in the more rural areas. A lot of the high population areas are covered pretty well. Again, part of REO Broker is exclusive territories and distances. So we try to get our best agents in those areas.
Let's talk about REO and short sales. Given your specialty in REO and short sales, distressed properties, what are the critical differences in handling these transactions versus handling traditional real estate?
The challenges are you're dealing in a corporate world. There's rules, regulations, there's things that you have to do, you have to jump through hoops, compared to just sitting at a table with mom and dad or grandma and grandpa. Now you're dealing in a corporate world where you have to have everything in order. You have to have your paperwork in order. You've got to be able to explain to them. As I tell my team members at times, I tell them, you got to think like the asset manager in order to connect with the asset manager to get what you want. No, we don't need to tear this house down. We can sell it as is by doing this. No, I can net you more of this. They may not always listen, but that's the biggest thing, is to be able to think and communicate with your asset manager because they're sitting there on 100 files and don't know your market.
And both of us have been in REO and short sales for a very long time. How has it evolved over the years? And what trends do you foresee soon?
That's going to come down to where I use it a lot in the REO Broker and our training calls, is you got to be flexible to change and adapt. Where we're heading right now, back in the crash years and other years, we were able to have one-on-one communications. We were able to communicate better direct, pick up a phone, talk to some of them asset managers and get our point across. Here you're in a more of a corporate world, so you better be able to adapt to communication skills. The communication is going to be through an email. The communication is going to be through other means, or a chat line, or a email. You won't get your one-on-one. So the one-on-one, getting to know that asset manager is not available as it was before, but you're still able to do your job. It's just going to be communication.
And speaking of property management and property preservation, what are the challenges and opportunities you see in property management today?
You've got to be able to manage their properties a way to make sure that something's not going to happen to them. It's a little more challenging than before because, again, that's coming down to the communication skills, and they're using third-party vendors. So you've got to be able to talk to that third-party vendor for them, or get them to it, and or point out to them that there's an issue. Some of these asset companies want you to manage a rental to start with. Some of them want you to maintain their property. Some of these properties right now are sitting a year or 2 years on the market. So there's some challenges there, but again, it's a matter of communication, but not, you're going to find that you're going to have a little harder communication because of the lack of being able to talk one-on-one. I'm a one-on-one person, but you can make it work. You can send the email out. You can put something out to 2 or 3 people. If you got a third-party title company that works them better, I sent one out today saying, hey, I need this here stuff, communication. I emailed both of them and the asset manager, and all of a sudden my closing issue got solved where I doing one-on-one was not. So that's the challenges.
And how do you balance managing properties while focusing on sales and other real estate services?
Having a good team. Again, I've only got a couple, not like the days where I had 8 or 10 people. I only have 3 right now. But making sure everybody knows what their job is, what they're supposed to be doing, because I'm still supposed to be the rainmaker. I do have to step in a little more than I did in the past to get things solved. But if the team gets it set up, I can be the closer. I can go in and take care of, hey, this is where it's at, and all of a sudden he'll listen to it, because the asset manager has the most of the information. He's just not getting it through. It doesn't want to deal with one of the team members, but they got it set up for me. I've had 4 or 5 major problems with some properties in the last month, and I've got people who've been sending out the messages, uploading documents. And today unusually I picked up the phone and somebody answered, and I talked to them, sent them an email of what we talked about, and everything was solved. So that's kind of where the role is having a good people behind you. You don't have time yourself to get it all done, but have them get it set up and you go in and close.
So obviously managing teams takes leadership. As a past president and past director of the Bay County Realtor Association, how did these roles influence and help you in this industry?
Rose, it was a learning experience. It was we knew we were realtors. When I got out there and was president and went to some of the national conferences and conventions, I learned when you're out there talking to different agents around the country, you learn. So it's a matter of just trying to find the balances there. And as the president, we never had a government affairs committee. I started the government affairs committee knowing that I don't like the government, but we need to deal with them consistently. We were having issues in our own county. I talked to agents around the country. So it's the leadership part of not being afraid to learn, not being afraid to talk to other people and find out what somebody in California or Arizona may be doing that may work in our area. And when I talked to the people at the national conferences and they were talking all about their government affairs committees, I said, we don't have one of them. So that's just one example. You go out there and learn, not be afraid, put the ego aside. You're there for your team. You're there for your association. You're there for your company. I think that's where that came from. Well
said. How do economic shifts impact the real estate market in Bay County? And how do you adapt to these changes?
As more with these economic shifts, Michigan had a tough time through most of it. Unlike some areas where the average house sale was $400,000, we're at we're at about 175 to 150,000. Back during the crash years, my average sale price was 35 or 40,000. So the shifts here, our biggest shift here is we're up to a higher price range and trying to get people to understand that. I have more people come to me and say, well, this house 10 years ago would have been 35,000. Why is it 90? That's where the economics are. So we've got to convince them this ain't 2008 anymore. So we do see the shifts, the lack of inventory, and right now the market is strange, but you just got to work around it. You find the workouts and you communicate. Biggest thing in any sales endeavor is communication.
And so that goes along with my next question, which is what advice would you give to other real estate professionals looking to navigate these market fluctuations?
Don't be afraid to learn. Don't be afraid to change. Don't be afraid to adapt to the local market. You're going to have to go in there, see where it is, see where the market is, see where the strengths are, and not get stuck in a tunnel vision. That's what I'm saying. You better have a wide angle vision and know this is going to work and this is not going to work. And if this didn't work, I'm going to change it to make it work. Don't be afraid to change. That's where most people make their mistakes. I got caught once. Didn't expect COVID to be the way it was. And I was always priding myself of 6 months ahead of the game. And I got caught and became non-essential. And that was an eye-opening experience. So we've been rebuilding since. We've been changing and making sure we don't have that happen to us again.
You obviously love what you do to be doing this for 30 years, but what keeps you motivated after 3 decades in the industry?
Unlike other real estate itself is exhilarating, exciting, and changing. But the REO, the short sale side, working with people, it's never the same thing every day. I don't walk in and just take a person to a house and here it is, write it up. There's always a challenge. Like I said, we've had several challenges in the last month with several properties, with several asset companies, with flooded basements to bad sump lines, that it's a challenge. And that's what I look for is what can we do for a challenge? To help our clients out instead of just walking in the same old thing every day. I love the fact that there's challenges there.
Can you share a success story that particularly stands out to you?
Well, Brandy, I do have several success stories. I did have an asset company that got a hold of me. They didn't want to do the foreclosure, but they wanted to try to work the short sale out. But it was an elderly person, didn't quite understand everything. There was all kinds of issues with prior family and state. So I went in there and I worked with her and then worked with the asset company and got them two together. I had to go to her house several times to make sure she had the paperwork. It ended up being a short sale instead of a foreclosure. And we sent stuff all the way through. And like most things, at the end, we had a Fannie Mae in the back end, which doesn't like some short sales. I had to get special approval for that. But the lady left, was able to move into another place. We solved the issues. We got the property sold for the bank for as much or more than that they wanted. It just wasn't being afraid to take on the challenges and putting out there. And I felt good about that one because I was approached by the asset company, and after I got to know the person inside, she became trusting to me to get this done and get her out of her situation because she didn't know what to do.
Perfect. Let's talk about the future of real estate. What are the biggest challenges and opportunities for the real estate industry over the next decade?
That is a loaded question because we don't know where everything's going with all the new changes coming with the forms and the buyer agency, whatever. And it goes back to my same thing that you probably hear me say times. Be ready to change, be ready to adapt, be ready to do that for this way for 3 months, and then the law is going to change again. So be ready to go this way again. It's just, again, you've got to be able to ebb and flow in this current market and with these current conditions and not be stuck where I used to do it this way and that's how I'm going to do it.
So Mike, the NAR settlement changes that are happening August 17th, what do you see as the biggest challenge with that happening?
The biggest challenge I can see is after August 17th, it's not going to be over. It's just going to be kind of okay, this is what we're starting with now. So you've got to be able to at least comply with what's going on then, but then be able to adapt and again to what the changes may be coming. I can see this dragging on for a couple of years before we get everything finalized as to how this industry is going to look and run and operate. The buyer agency issue is going to have to be solved, and it's not going to be an overnight solving it on August 17th. It's just going to be a few guidelines to get it going until everything is settled, is my opinion.
And I'm going to say change is inevitable, so there will be change, but we'll have to see how that all turns out. Speaking of your favorite topic, let's talk about technology. How do you see technology and AI impacting how real estate is bought, sold, and managed?
As you know from knowing me, I work with technology, but it's not top of my forte. I do what I can to learn, and it's having people I can go to. I'm not sure on the AI. I still am a work with you person, talk to you person, let's get it solved person, but it's going to be coming in. It's going to have to be dealt with, and I guess we'll just have to see which direction it goes. I'm not totally convinced as to how it's going to work yet, but it's going to be there. So again, it's back to me following my own advice, is be able to adapt to it.
Mike, thank you so much for sharing your insights and experiences. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience?
No, just the fact is, I guess the only thing I would share with you is, don't get deterred, don't get discouraged. Nothing's a failure. You're always adapting to something. If something doesn't work, I don't look at anything as a failure. But believe me, I've had plenty of ups and down issues. It's a matter of being able to correct it, see it, and make it work for how it's going to work. Also, I would recommend anybody watching this who's got REO experience, wants to join an organization, REOBroker.com is the organization for you to join, the organization for you to learn in, and the organization for you to network in. This is a organization with a lot of knowledge and experience. Feel free to reach out to myself or Brandy, and we'll try to get you into our group.
I 100% agree, Mike. In fact, our REOBroker.com webinars that we do on Friday, these are the exact type of discussions that we talk about. The NAR settlements, challenges in our business, REO, short sale changes, what's happening in the economy, our market. So Mike, I 100% agree with you. REOBroker.com is the place to be. And thank you so much, Mike, for kicking off our very first REO Agent Spotlight. Well, there you have it, our very first REO Broker Spotlight. Thank you so much for watching. Look out for more REO Broker TV and podcast shows. Look out for REO Broker HUD and Real Estate Magazine, which can be found at our website on www.reobroker.com. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, connect with us on LinkedIn, Active Rain, Set Schedule, and like us on Facebook. Let's get connected. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Brandy Nelson. Have a wonderful day.
Everyone knows the power of social media and the impact a strong online presence has in this day and age. But most real estate agents simply do not have the time to manage all the advertising and marketing details, and that's where the Power Is Now Media steps in. We are the answer you have been looking for. Let us help put your brand on the map. We will create customized graphics for weekly full-page ads, social media content, video, and podcast content for you. Sound complicated and expensive? It is affordable and easy. We have the best experts on the job. Go to thepowerisnow.com and find us under the VIP Agent tab to learn more. This is the future of real estate. Join today. thepowerisnow.com.